What's going on, guys? My name is Derek. Welcome to my channel, Euro Superbike Life, or ESBKLife for short. Today we are working on my S1000RR track bike again. Surprise, surprise. We are doing the Brembo tuning velocity stack upgrade modification that I told you about in my previous video. So let's jump right into it. Alright guys, so here we are at my desk. We are not going to be working actually on the bike at all today. So we have two airboxes here. On my right is the stock airbox from my bike. So this is a first gen 2009 to 2013-ish, depending on the parts you're talking about. So this is a stock unit that's on my bike. This is the donor airbox. This is from a Gen 2 S1000RR. So 2015 to 2019. And we need this as a donor box so that we can get to these. These are the velocity stacks that we want. And you can't see in there. We're going to take a peek at what's in there in a little bit. But we're going to get those velocity stacks out. We're going to compare them. And you'll see why we want these as opposed to what's in there right now. This install is more complicated on the first gen S1000RRs, not so much on the second gen. The second gen already has the velocity stacks that we need, so you really only just need to swap out the grommets. So these are the stock grommets, and these are the Brembo tuning units that we want to install. I will put links in the description for these for both bikes, but if you're Gen 2, Gen 3 S1000RR owner, you can still do this mod. It's way simpler. Simply remove the airbox, pull the grommets out of the bottom, and reinstall the new ones with the C-clamps. That is really it. But for us first gen guys, we have to work a little bit harder. So first we got to find a donor bike. You cannot buy these velocity stacks directly from BMW by themselves. So you have to get the entire airbox. And I don't think anyone wants to actually buy an entire airbox unit from BMW. I think, I want to say it's around $600–700 total, and all we want are these plastic trumpet basically out of them. So you'll want to find someone who's parting out their bike. Look on eBay, look on the forums. There are a bunch of them all over the place all the time. You should be able to get one of these for anywhere from $50 to about $150, depending on its condition. But what is it we're going to need? So you'll probably need, we have a T25 and T20 Torx. You'll need some gloves. Why we need gloves is we're going to be putting our hands in here, and these airboxes were not designed for human beings to be putting their hands in. So there are a lot of sharp, unfinished plastic pieces. So unless you love death by 1,000 paper cuts, I recommend some type of hand covering so that we can get in there. We won't need this airbox. I just put it here for show. In fact, I will show you the part numbers that are on it. So hopefully you can see those part numbers. I will list those in the description as well. Also on the Brembo tuning website, they have two videos about the getting the velocity stacks out of the donor box as well as installing them in our stock box. So if you're looking for Brembo tuning information directly, they have videos on their website as well. First, I want to show you guys the inside of the box and what it is we need here. So let me get a couple of things out of the way here. So this is our stock airbox. These are the velocity stacks that we're looking to get out of here. These are on the short side, and I think the ones we're installing are a little bit taller, but we'll compare them once they're out. We're going to remove these grommets that you see on the bottom. You can also see our air intake temperature sensor. We need to move that and get that out of the way. These move up and down, and it's controlled by this servo motor right here, which you see is still attached via this arm. So we need to remove the servo motor, so that disconnects this arm. We'll need to remove the arm. And then the velocity stacks are attached via 3 points. You could sort of see them here. There's one there, there's another one there, and there's one behind the air intake temperature sensor back there. So if we go over and look at the donor box, you could see them here just sort of flopping around a bit on all three sides. That's what's hold the velocity stacks in place. After that, we need to get them out of the box. And as you can see, the velocity stacks are wider than the box opening. So once they're sort of in the box sideways, we could sort of pull them out. I have seen people notch right up here to help get them in and out. In fact, if you look at the Bren tuning video, when you're installing these in the stock Airbox, they recommend notching right here to slide them in so that it's a little bit easier. But they're not easy to get in or not easy to get out. But once they're in or out of the box, stuff becomes a lot easier there. So let me get another camera set up and then we'll get to work. First off, we are going to remove our servo motor up here on top. I believe this is T25 Torx. Okay. And then we should just be able to pry this up a little bit in here. There we go. All right, so now you can see with the servo motor disconnected, if we turn this, our velocity stacks slide up and down. And they are basically just moving on those three hinges, just moving up and down. It's not a slide, it's more pivoting, and they're moving up and down like that. But we don't want to break our air intake sensor, so we need to remove that. There we go. All right, remove that. So now we need to remove this rod here, so we need to flip it upside down. And there are T20s here. Those two out. Now this rod is free. So it's a little housing. It comes in a couple of pieces. So that little piece there. So we need to pop that off. But you can see this rod is connected in the back. And we're going to finish taking the rest of that out here in just a second. But while we're under here, we want to remove our stock grommets. So basically they're all rubber. We can just reach in there with two fingers and give a pull, yank them out, like so. Grab some paper towels, just wipe this off. Like so. Okay, so now, if we look in here, our rod, if we move these up and down, I don't know if you could see in here, but way in the back here is where the rod is connected to a little ball joint. And we can get to it if we flip it upside down and we look at it through one of the holes in the bottom. And you could see the rod right here that I'm moving with my finger. So we need to pop that off. And you should just be able to move it to the right. So we can just sort of grab it and give it a pull to the right. It should pop off. Here we go. It pops off, and here you can see the rod. And like I said, it mounts in this direction. So this little ball joint, this little ball joint goes on here. It's not really a ball joint, it's a cover. That goes on there, and it mounts to this location here, and then the arm goes in the back and actuates the arms. So now we have our velocity stacks free. So now what we need to do is we need to disconnect it from these 3 points here. And we do that by reaching in with both hands and pulling from the top. So we want to pry this off of this middle hinge here, and then we'll flip it upside down and do the exact same thing on the other side. So you just reach in here with 2 hands and give like steady pull, and you hear it pop. And you can see the first one, hopefully you can see that. See that first one, the center is off. Now we flip it upside down and we'll do the same thing. Now, sometimes when you do this, the middle will pop back onto itself, but same thing, get in here, give a little tug from the top, and it just popped back on, but that's okay. We're gonna give a tug. There's one side, there's the other, and you can see now the middle popped itself back on. So now we need to do that and pop him off. So there we go. Now it's off. You can see that it's floating around in here. And this is where the fun part starts. Because as you can see, it's a lot wider than our opening. So the goal here is to sort of jam one corner of these velocity stacks in the corner and then pull the other out. Now you can, again, notch up here, but these things will flex a little bit. And we're not worried about getting this one back or getting this one out okay, because we're not going to use this. So if you look at the Bren tuning video, what they do is actually he puts a clothes hanger. He ties that around and he just sort of yanks it out. So what I'm going to do, what I had success with doing, is I sort of stuff this corner as far back as it will go and then pull this corner up just like that. Now this thing, as you can see, it's flexing, it's going to bend. That's okay, as long as we don't break the housing. We can break this, so I'm not concerned about that. So now I'm just going to work this out. You can see the box flexing just a little bit there. There we go. Boom. Now it's out. And you can see it didn't hurt anything. It's plastic, it flexes. So it's out. That's our box. And you can see our 3 rods in there that we'll need to reinstall this on. Make sure you note the orientation of these, how they go in here. You don't want to install them backwards. There is a little red tab here that goes in the back, so that should help you. You can also see it, but one side is more pronounced, if you could see that here, than the other. So they go in like this, and you can also see that these are tapered at a particular angle. So when you're looking at the front of the box, the higher end goes in the back, the lower end goes in the front, and then obviously the big velocity stack funnels are up top. They don't go in like this. So this makes contact with the grommets that will be in the bottom. So goes in like this. Now we can take a look and compare the two. So these are the velocity stacks that came out of our stock box. These are the 2nd gen, and you can see the 2nd gen units are taller by a significant amount, like so. The taller velocity stacks should help with mid-range and top end. So I see that I still have a little bit of oil in here from my little crash that I had at Palmer. So I'm just going to clean this up and then we will be back with the install. All right, guys, so we are ready to install. Now, again, Bren Tuning says the best way to install our velocity stacks into the said box is to make a little cut here, and the air filter still covers it, so we don't have to worry about any air leaks. So I'm going to go ahead and do the same. I got my Dremel, so I'm going to make a little cut here, and so we got our little cut opening right there. So I'm going to try to tuck this as far in that corner as I can. Then bring this over. And I'm just trying to work this in without breaking anything. right, guys, so what I'm having problem with is not necessarily the notch and getting in it, but the problem I was having here is the spacing between here and this point here. Let me see if I can get a little closer for you guys. All right, here we go. So the spacing between here, this bump here, and here, this is the air intake temperature sensor port where it fits in, and there was a nub sort of like this one here that sort of sticks down. That nub was hitting the number 2 velocity stack on the back side. So no matter how much I notched this, no matter how much I pushed on it, it was flexing to the point and it wouldn't get past that notch. So I had to modify this airbox a little bit. So not as direct as Bren Tuning showed on their website. So I don't know if my airbox and the velocity stacks that I got from the 2nd gen are a little bit different, because BMW has in fact changed their airbox multiple times on the S1000RR models. So it's possible that even though I got a 2nd gen, there may be some variations between 2nd gens. So I think I'm good now. So let's try it again. All right. So let's put that in there. And let's see. I feel like I'm in. I don't know about this one, guys. Oh, there we go. Success! We finally got it in there. Whew, that is not simple. Not simple at all. Yeah, this better be worth it. Okay, so now that those are done, so now we need to get the 3 points here mounted on all 3 of these rods. So let me do that. I don't know which ones I want to do first. Let me rotate that one down. There's the middle one. There's that side. And then there's that side. All right. So now velocity stacks are in. They're moving up and down. So now we need to put the arm back in. So remember the arm, if I take this little guy off here, because I don't want to break him or lose him. So now we lift up the velocity stacks. This slides under and goes on the little ball in the back there. So line it up, and I'll get it from the bottom. There we go. So now we can put this back on here. Hopefully you guys can all see this, but if not, I apologize. There we go. Now that goes there, and we flip it over. And we put our screws back in here. Okay, so now those are in there. We don't need to put our servo motor on just yet, but we will pop in our air intake temperature sensor. Pop that back in there, and you can see we're all looking good. We're moving up and down. If we turn the rod here, like so, we have good movement. So now all we need to do is install these guys. So let's do it. All right, let's open up our BT Moto grommets. Okay, so as you can see, there's a nice clip on them. So we need to get that clip off. Two, three, and four. Okay, so these want to go in here. So we'll just start with any one of them here. Them in like so. You want to hold from the back, which means I need to get my gloves on because I don't want to cut my hands up. Like so. One in, and then we'll continue doing that for the other three. There we go. Ooh, that one was a pain in the butt. There we go. And the last one. There we go. We are now all in. You want to make sure that you pull them tight because there is a channel that those C-clamps sit down in. And we certainly don't want these falling out. Okay. Right, there we go. This install of our Brembo tuning velocity stack modification along with the Brembo tuning grommets is complete. Now we just need to put this puppy on the bike and then we need to get it tuned because again we cannot just run this modification on the stock bike. Well, technically we can run it on the stock bike, but we're not going to see any performance improvements. In fact, we actually may lose some performance. We need to lose some horsepower, torque, and so forth. So we need to get this properly tuned with a like a PC5 or a Bazaz unit or something along those lines. We are going to go with a Brembo tuning ECU flash. Initially stage 1, possibly stage 2. I need to call them and talk to them about what the advantages of stage 2 is and if I can benefit from that, seeing this is a track bike and not like a drag bike or a street racing bike, you know, where some people just want to go fast in a straight line. That is not my only concern with this. But again, for me, I had problems with this install here with the air intake temperature sensor. In fact, I may move that now because that O-ring, that grommet is not sitting in anything right now. So I may have to go with their air intake relocation kit, which isn't a big deal. It actually mounts or moves the air intake temperature sensor into the top of this box, I believe here, closer to the original port, and then there's just a grommet that goes on top. So I may need to do that. So, because I certainly don't want that O-ring just sort of flapping around, because this box does see a lot of vacuum and a lot of pressure, and I would hate for that thing to just get sucked off and end up in one of those throttle bodies down that tube. So there we go. We will now need to pop this back on here and then get everything reinstalled. All right, guys, so I think we can wrap up for this video. We got our velocity stacks installed. We also got the Brembo tuning grommets installed as well. As I mentioned before in my last video, I don't think that or my previous videos, I don't think that I'll be able to get this tested out and get you a review or anything probably before next spring. We still need to get our Brembo tuning ECU flashed with all the other things that we got going on. And I don't think that's probably going to happen before Christmas. It may happen just after or around that time. And by then, there'll be several feet of snow and or ice on the ground, so I won't be able to test it. So it's probably around May, early May, before we see this bike actually in motion. And my first track day, I'll get you guys a review and a feedback of both the Brembo tuning ECU flash and if I think, well, the reality is after I get the ECU flash, I won't be able to tell whether if it's the ECU that I'm feeling or making notice of, or if it's the velocity stacks that I'm noticing. So either way, I'll get you a review of all of that, of what I think and how the bike is performing and so forth and so on. Lots of stuff to review at that point and give my feedback on around the May time frame. So right now, I think we are done for the next couple of weeks. At least the next time you see the bike, we'll be doing the Bren Tuning ECU flash. So, but I still have some more stuff coming up. I still have some stuff with my helmets going on and a few other things that I'm probably going to share with you guys this winter. So be on the lookout for that. But anyway, let's wrap it up. I'm Derek. This is Euro Superbike Life. You guys know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, or smash it if you're into that kind of thing. Until next time, guys, take care.